Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. This is a quick video as some of you guys have sent me a link to Linus Tech Tips quick review of the Quantum P Series X 2019. Now this review went up the other night, but I have to give a couple people some credit for sending me the link to this. Florinip 1978, Chris G, The Ripper 121, Angelic Requiem X, Super Miami, and Randy Bradley actually sent me some links to some forums. So for all you guys that sent me those links, thank you so much. And a special shout out to Steven Rogers, aka Newton, from Ottawa, because he just wanted a shout out. So there's his shout out. Guys, thank you so much for sending me links and for helping me bring things to you. This is that community that I'm talking about, is looking out for each other and passing information back and forth to one another. These videos aren't really meant to be as comprehensive or detailed reviews. I think some of you are disappointed when you see me put up a video in reference to these videos between this one, Digital Trends, and Tech Radar. All I'm trying to do is send you more information so you can make a better purchase. Now, when you guys send me links and send me information about other channels, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, as you're helping me also sift through all the information and find what is beneficial for all of us. Now, the Visium Quantum P Series is not the only display that we're looking at. A lot of us are really waiting for TCL and Hisense to release their displays, as Samsung and Sony have released theirs already. Other than the Z9G, which is a pie-in-the-sky display, I'm not even sure it's going to be released in smaller sizes. I just see some monster sizes for that. But we're talking about obtainable displays. Let's get into what Linus is talking about. Check out his review. For those of you that aren't familiar with Linus Tech Tips, they have about 8 million subscribers. They are an absolutely huge channel, been around forever. And they focus on all tech. Their master reality of PCs, basically PC, CPUs, GPUs. They cover a wide variety of topics. They do jump into monitors. They were jumping into OLEDs a long time ago. A lot of stuff that they do is not just in regards to movies, but primarily regards to gaming and monitors. And that's where I want to talk a little bit today about this review. Like Linus a lot, follow his channel and go to his channel for a lot of information. The challenge with a channel that size is that they do dip their toe into some of the things that we are all interested in regards to home theater. Home theater, TVs, that's not really their niche. I do appreciate all the work that they do. They have touched on OLEDs in the past. They did a review on the TCL 6 series, or it might have been the 5 series, very similar to this one in regards to bang for the buck. The only challenge with the P Series Quantum X is though I'm looking for bang for the buck, it's still rather expensive to be put in that category. As he alludes to at the end of this video, is that the same with the Quantum P Series from last year, is that they are still only a few $100s away from the next level OLED, or I should say the entry level OLED, which he brings up here. The challenge is the Quantum P Series is Vizio's top line flagship. It cannot be as reasonable in price as the others, which is why I'm very happy that the Quantum P Series of this year is so well spec'd. Now to clarify, the Quantum P Series this year is not the same spec as last year. And this is what's a little bit confusing. Some of you guys have seen the Quantum P Series of last year, saw the crazy specs, saw the crazy zones, but waited for the Quantum P Series this year. What's weird is the Quantum P Series this year, the X, is actually the successor to last year's Quantum P Series. The Quantum P Series this year is the successor to last year's regular P Series. It's only called the Quantum P Series because it adds the quantum dot technology. It is much better spec than last year's P Series in regards to its peak brightness and its zones, but it's not nearly as spec'd as the 2018 Quantum P Series. So the X is the flagship to the Quantum P Series of last year. So think of last year's Quantum P Series as the first Quantum P Series X. That'll make it easier for you guys. Now that said, the Quantum P Series of 2018 has been getting very good reviews on IGN and some other websites as well. It is better spec than last year's P series, not as beefy as last year's Quantum P series, but from what I understand, the overall picture quality might actually be even better due to the fact that its local dimming handles things a little bit better, a little bit more even. So, Linus's review is very favorable. It's very positive to the Quantum P Series X. It touches on with a lot of things that you guys and I already know, which is interesting with a lot of these reviews. You guys in this community and a lot of you in YouTube at large already know the specs to these TVs. You guys already know what a lot of these reviewers are going to say. So the challenge is we want something more comprehensive. We're looking for numbers. We're looking for comparisons not to OLEDs. We're looking for comparisons to other displays. He does a comparison here to the Q9FN, I believe. And unless I see those displays side by side, guys, it's really hard in a lot of these reviews to take that as fact. He's showing a, you know what, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Here it is. Sorry, the camera through the selfie one's not going to show it. This is supposed to be the Q9FN or Q9F and the Vizio Quantum. When you show illustrations this way, it's nearly impossible to see what they're talking about, simply because they're making the Q9F look very dark here when we know the Q9, if it is the Q9FN, is one of the brightest displays ever made. So that's not going to be indicative of a real comparison between the two. Plus, we have no idea if the Vizio was on Vivid. This looks like an OLED almost. So take that with a grain of salt, especially those of you that have Samsung QLEDs and you're looking at this saying, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. I don't think it looks right either. They're much closer in terms of peak brightness, and that's where you have to be careful with a lot of these quick reviews. So those comparisons aren't always something that you can tell side by side on these displays unless I see them next to each other in these videos. He also does a comparison with an OLED, comparing black level, which is nearly impossible to do as OLEDs don't have any blooming at all, as they're at the pixel level. So those comparisons don't really do us a lot of good, especially with a camera, which, as you can tell, shows blooming that's not really there, especially if you use this side. What I also find interesting with Artings and a lot of these reviewers is turning their backlights. They find less blooming as they lower their backlights, which I always found to be counterintuitive. I always found that full array local dimming was better at high, to reduce blooming than to deactivate some of the zones and go lower. So I'm not sure how it behaves. He found the medium full array was too aggressive and it was better at low. I have found a lot of low full array local dimming at low would give me maybe not less blooming but more clouding, and less in terms of black level. But we'll see once we get our hands on it. Now, a lot of you guys are concerned with input lag in gaming with the Vizio P series, and I want to clear that up a little bit, even having the P series in 2016. Yes, HDMI 5 is a low latency, lower input lag HDMI port. Now, they have 5 HDMIs, which is already one more than most. The fifth one came out in 2016 P series by giving you the fifth HDMI input to lower the input lag and latency. What it pretty much does is it lowers the processing and gives you a very fast response time in terms of a low input lag. That said, a lot of the channels and a lot of the reviews are then jumping into the other inputs outside of game mode and saying, well, outside of game mode, these TVs have a very high input lag. Guys, almost every company out there outside of game mode with motion interpolation enabled have 100 milliseconds in input lag. I don't know any of the manufacturers that have low input lag outside of game mode with motion enabled. So a lot of us know that already, but I think a lot of these channels and reviewers are making it sound like the only way to play games on this is in input 5. Input 5 doesn't have HDR at all. It's a fast one. That's the one if you want to play your first-person shooters on a console or even a PC that doesn't have HDR to play. If you had a Call of Duty, the problem is they all have HDR now for the most part. The input lag, I want to say, is in the mid-20s outside of HDMI 5, which is plenty, which is good, you know. But remember, these guys are PC. They work with monitors with 1 millisecond response times. But I think it's kind of putting it out there that you need to use HDMI 5 for gaming, which isn't true. For those of you that have P series or have Visios in the past, the input lag is actually pretty good on all the inputs. I would use the others to take advantage of HDR gaming, simply because the gaming in HDR would definitely do well with the high nit count and zone count. So we would want to use HDR gamings for your God of Wars and your very HDR intense titles. These reviews are very good. They're not comprehensive still. So for all of us, it's about grabbing all the reviews we can, including the negative ones, and then trying to find that middle ground. The Tech Radar one was very vague and kind of a little all over the place. It seemed like they were taking information and just putting out a full review, instead of doing what we do here, which is just a thoughts review on others' information. It sounds like they were kind of doing the same thing without the display. And Linus, though very good, this is not their niche. This is not where they focus the most. I do like the review. I think it's better than the ones I've seen so far. There's only been a few. I know Artings responded to one of my comments saying that they have ordered it and they haven't received it yet. They think it's very interesting. And Digital Trends is doing a 950G versus a Quantum XP series. That was going to be up this weekend, should be up earlier in the week. Then they will do their own Quantum XP series review. So we have some real reviews coming out, or more in-depth reviews. Not to say Linus's wasn't real. It's, I think, very good. They have the display. For those of us that don't have it, this is kind of what we want to see. But honestly, these reviews, these videos should be about 20 minutes long, 15 minutes long. That's what we want to see, is in-depth. Our videos are long here because it's just us going over every aspect. I will have this display in early July. I have made the decision. I will be buying the 75-inch. The reviews to me are good enough to where it justifies me purchasing it. The color gradients and the blooming are still going to be a concern, except I find blooming to be interesting. What I mean by that is blooming used to be primarily blooming into the black bars. That was most concerning. Blooming around bright objects on a dark screen. The biggest concern with blooming in the past was during movies, during content. Would you see blooming during games? What's funny now is blooming during anything has gotten to be where it's considered a lot of blooming, whether it's the Sony 950G, even the QLEDs and the Q90Rs now, people are saying, including myself with the 900R, there is blooming. It's going to be very, very hard to find a display where it says Sony and doesn't have any highlights around it. It's just not something that is going to be, I think it's going to happen, I think it's because these displays are also brighter. I noticed very little blooming on the 940E and the Z9D and the KS9800. So I don't know if their emphasis has gotten away from eradicating blooming altogether, or that's all I can really guess, is that their emphasis has really changed on minimizing blooming and giving you higher spectral highlights. We will see if that really matters during content, during your TV content and your movie content. Check out Linus's review. It is very good. It's not as deep as so many of us would like, but it still is out there. It's still there. He's still showing a game on it. But again, be aware, guys, it is a very good gaming display anyway. Just because the input lag is not 15 milliseconds, you can use all of the other HDMI inputs. HDMI 5 is going to be perfect for your switches, your non-HDR displays. What I do find interesting with the Vizio and even with Samsung, that guys, keep in mind if you're Sony fans, my Sony 900E can display 4:4 chroma out of game mode. There isn't a PC mode for the Sony. They can do it in all inputs and also in all picture settings. You're going to have to be, like in Samsung, you have to be in their PC mode. And with the Vizio, it looks like that's going to be the same. For those of you that love 4:4 chroma, keep that in mind. Your display is going to have to be in PC mode, which is fine. The problem with the Samsung being in PC mode and Vizio being in PC mode is you don't have all the picture settings you would always like. So keep that in mind. I struggled with that with the P series in 2016 as they didn't support Chroma 444 initially. So we'll see how it does here. I don't always like being locked into a PC mode. I like having the same freedom that I get with consoles, but we'll see how the PC behaves with this. So, review is good. Thank you so much for those that I listed below for letting me know about it. I will put the link to this video below, though I'm late to the party. I want to thank those subs for letting me know. I really, really appreciate the help. Give Linus a look. It's an excellent channel. It is a huge channel that covers all kinds of technology. And check him out. You know, he's very, very friendly. A lot to do with PCs and other tech. Again, take a little bit of a grain of salt when they when they compare displays. They're not a display channel. They do focus primarily on monitors. And again, gaming, it's good for all inputs. And as HDR becomes more commonplace, HDR really is the focus, guys, for a display this bright with this many zones. You want that high zone count, you want that high peak brightness to take full advantage of HDR10 and Dolby Vision. And local dimming, we'll see how it behaves. I can't wait to see how it looks when I get mine in early July. Look for Digital Trends review to jump any day, and look for Artings in the next few weeks. Thank you as always, guys. These reviews, these videos do tend to get a little bit long because they are discussion based, but we're just talking about it. Check it out. It'll be in the description below. Thank everyone for letting me know about it. Check out Linus. Check out the review. Let me know what you think about his or his company's review, what you thought about it. I thought it was very good. It was very positive. Not quite as comprehensive as we'd like, but definitely more detailed than most of the ones that you see out there. So give him a look. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you as always. Take care.